A trial date is now set for the suspect in the Delphi murders.
The man accused of murdering Abby Williams and Libby German will face a jury in about 6.5 months. Richard Allen was in court for nearly 5 hours today.
And our news crews were in the courtroom all day as well. That includes 13 Investigates senior reporter Bob Siegel.
He begins our live team coverage tonight from Carroll County. Bob.
Well, we now know Richard Allen's trial date is set for January. Judge Fran Gall set jury selection for January 8th, 2024, and we are told to expect 3 weeks for the trial. Now, we also heard a bombshell in court today. Carroll County prosecutor Nick McLeland said that Richard Allen has made incriminating statements while he's being held in prison awaiting his trial. McLeland said Allen, and I quote, confessed 5 or 6 times to killing the girls. He didn't give any more details other than that. Allen's defense attorney told the judge the statements that were allegedly made by the defendant were generic, and he said, quote, the jury's going to hear all about that when the time is right. So the other big news that happened in court today is actually what did not happen in court. We expected the judge to hold a suppression hearing on whether to allow ballistics evidence in the case and whether that's going to be admissible. That did not happen. According to the state, they have tests that link an unfired bullet at the crime scene to a gun found in Allen's house. The defense wants the evidence thrown out, saying that it's based on questionable evidence. The judge announced that she is going to hold a hearing on that at a later date. We don't know that yet. So most of today's hearing focused on another very important issue, whether Richard Allen is going to remain in a maximum security state prison or move closer here to Carroll County. Samantha Johnson was in court sitting right next to me today. She heard all the testimony, and what we heard, well, first of all, it lasted hours. And it was fascinating.
It was fascinating, and as a reminder, this all comes about because the defense is saying right now that Allen's mental and physical health is deteriorating because he's in this maximum security unit. I've had the privilege of seeing Allen every time he's been in hearings yet this year, and we know apparently, according to just the conditions that we've seen over the past few months, the words I wrote down to describe him today were weak and shallow feeling, also giving off a timid expression as well. But today we know that both sides agreed that this original safekeeping order that was filed in November of last year, we know that they say that was based on potential threats. The exact words they used were speculative safety concerns. And the sheriff at the time says he was being proactive by asking that Allen be moved out of Carroll County. Witnesses today testified, though, that there was no threat at the time, nor have there been any direct threats to Richard Allen. However, we did hear from the Westville warden today who said that he would be concerned for Richard Allen's safety if he were moved out of this maximum security unit. In fact, we know that we heard from one other Westville worker today who said that in his 5 years of working at this prison, that Richard Allen is the only pre-trial inmate they've ever had in this segregation maximum security unit. So the defense today is arguing that this is all about equal protection. They told us in court today that their goal is really to come up with a solution to get better access to Allen to help him prepare for this defense. They even offered other options potentially to house Allen. We know Cass County was one of the counties being mentioned. We heard from their sheriff today. Hours of back and forth debate on this, and then of course Judge Gall deciding that she was going to take both sides of this argument under advisement. No decision today, but of course we do expect more in the coming days or coming weeks.
And a lot of what we heard in court today focused on Richard Allen's poor health.
Yeah.
And so we certainly want to explain more about that, and coming up at 5:30 we're going to explain why Richard Allen is now under video surveillance 24 hours a day. That came out in court today. That's coming up just in a little bit here at 5:30.
All right, before we let you go right now at 5, guys, obviously so many people are focused on this trial. We know it was a packed courtroom for people who wanted to see it in person today. Can you share who was there?
Yeah, the line was out the door early this morning. The first people in line to make sure they had a spot inside the courtroom arrived around 5:20. A lot of interest in this case, as you mentioned. We do know the families were there again today. We saw both the families of Abby and Libby. In fact, we saw more family members, I would say, than the last time we were here in Carroll County. It is important to mention we also saw family members of Richard Allen. So it was a full courtroom from what we're told. There were no empty seats available when we were in there earlier today. So a lot of emotion, of course, a lot of anticipation as to what comes next, and I know John Duran's going to walk through that coming up at 6 o'clock.
All right,
Absolutely.
Samantha
Lots
Johnson.
more coming up. We'll see you again at 5:30.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. Reporting live from Carroll County tonight. Thank you to Bob Siegel and Samantha Johnson there.